What's good, guys? So in today's video, we have three different stories. We're just going to go over them real quick. We're going to start with our first story. Thank you guys for always watching and showing love to the videos. Drop a like, comment, subscribe. First story comes in hot with us having some details on match placements for John Cena versus Gunther at Saturday night's main event, which takes place on December 13th at Washington, D.C., live on Peacock. I really don't like that streaming service, so I do apologize for my weird face. It appears the match placement of John Cena versus Gunther at this weekend's WWE Saturday Night's main event has become a whole saga unto itself. So, quick backstory to this: there has been a lot of rumors. One from Brian Alvarez from the Wrestling Observer, where he says that Gunther and Cena are going to open the main event, and then there's a new report from WrestleVote's Radio on Fightful Select, which they're saying something else apparently. I don't know. Let's just read the article, right? So, anyways, as previously noted, Cena personally expressed that he wanted the final match of his career to go on first this weekend during a recent appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. However, Dave Meltzer reported on today's Wrestling Observer that he was informed that the bout order for the live Peacock broadcast is still not determined and in discussion. Meltzer also noted that Joe Tessitore's comments, which apparently suggest that Cena and Gunther would go on last and be followed by post-show coverage. So the question now remains, is Cena versus Gunther going on first or last? Even a new report on Fightful Select has more details on the topic. So regarding the issue of when his match will take place on the show, WrestleVote's Radio reports that a majority of people within WWE, they want Gunther and Cena to close out the show. However, both ideas of the match opening and closing have been considered. Ultimately, it appears like we're going to just have to wait and see the Cena's last match order in which it comes out. WWE has not announced what match will kick off or close out this weekend's card. Now, WWE's Saturday Night main event featuring John Cena and Gunther in Cena's last match takes place on December 13th at the Capital One Arena. Here's the thing. Let's say they do open the show. Depending on how the match ends is what's going to determine if it should make sense for it to open or close. And I don't mean just Cena like losing, right? Because it's pretty much a given that Cena would probably want to put Gunther over and have him lose his last match. But it's how they end it, right? Is Cena going to get... Are they going to force him to give up and tap out to the sleeper? Or are they just going to have Gunther just straight up basically just beat him in a good old-fashioned wrestling match? Or do they put him in the sleeper and Cena doesn't ever really give up by tapping out, but rather goes to sleep, like gets just knocked out? And I say this to say that that's probably the way to go if I were them. I wouldn't necessarily squander Cena's whole entire message over his entire time being a face by squandering it and having him tap. As far as I know, Cena's entire career while he was a babyface, he's never actually tapped out once. And to go back to what happened with, someone like LA Knight, for example, tapping out to Gunther on their last match, I don't think that a babyface that you're trying to build up to be the next face, or even just someone who has a really high pedigree like Cena, should be tapping out. Or even someone that you're trying to build up to be a big face like Cena someday, like LA Knight, should be tapping out either. So definitely passing out would be the way to go. Or if they just have him, you know, pin him. I think the going to tap. I think the what am I trying to say? The going to sleep route on the sleeper makes a lot more sense than him just pinning him 1, 2, 3. But we'll see. Next story we have. Sources indicate that Body Slam that higher ups see Braun Breaker as the next true big star of the WWE. They believe that Braun Breaker will be a Roman Reigns type of superstar for the company and that Breaker will be the face for years to come. He also has been discussed as a frontrunner to win the Royal Rumble and win the World Heavyweight Championship in 2026. Well, there goes my hope that LA Knight would win the Royal Rumble. But again, it's pretty obvious that they're trying to position him as the next big thing. And I do think that the plans got a bit accelerated due to what happened with Rollins. Now, were they always going to have him in some capacity, maybe compete for a title at at WrestleMania this coming year? Hard to say, right? Because they did accelerate with Rollins getting injured and everything like that. Here's what I see. I see Roman versus Cody 3. I see Braun Breaker versus CM Punk in some capacity. Now, do we see Braun Breaker winning the Rumble and then Reigns winning the Elimination Chamber, or vice versa? I think Reigns winning the Chamber Reigns winning the Rumble and then Braun Breaker winning the Chamber, if that's the two matches they want to set up, is the way to go. But I definitely see Braun Breaker as a big star in the future. I do think there's a few minor things that probably need to be tweaked a little bit. And it's hard to say what those things are. Like, for example, some of his promos are like really, really good. And then others are just, it sounds like he's really just screaming and kind of like repeating a couple of the things that he says. As far as his in-ring ability, I think it's great. I think he's at that point where he's almost about to break through in the sense of like being able to have a magical match with everyone. And I think he's almost there. He's already got the moveset, he's got the speed, he's got the charisma, he's got the look, like that weird thing he does when he's in the ring and he starts like having the shakes and stuff. I think that's awesome. I love his aggression, his power. And you guys let me know how you feel about all that, man. So I typed in Jey Uso on Twitter and I got this tweet from this person here that says the Jey Uso experiment is officially over. And what do they mean by that? Well, if you guys saw Monday Night Raw this past Monday, Jay is now back with his brother Big Jim as a tag team, and they're going to be taking on the New Day in, I think, a number one contenders match to figure out who's going to fight AJ Lee. Not AJ Lee, the woman, but rather AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. I'm sorry. It wasn't. It makes me laugh because never mind. I'm just I like, some dad jokes actually like they pop me. What can I say? We scroll down a little bit and both of my stories kind of line up here. So the Elite Rockers posted the story I just discussed about Braun Breaker, but then above it, the person says that Braun Breaker is being overpushed the same way that they overpushed Jay and it ruined him. Now, here's the difference, in my opinion, between Jay and Braun Breaker. With Braun Breaker, he has the in-ring ability and he's going to tighten up the little bit of mic skill lacking that he has. So I don't foresee this being the case. On top of that, Braun Breaker is a heel right now. And when you're a heel, from numerous superstars who have done numerous interviews, they admitted that they have way more freedom, way more margin for error in things like being in the ring and things like that, because they're already being hated by the company. Like, they're already being booed by fans. You know what I mean? Like, so they have more opportunity to be more flexible, to be more broader, and they can expand their character repertoire and improve upon it at a faster rate than someone who's a babyface who is basically being forced to adhere to the audience and make them like him. Now, no discredit to Jay, because Jay is loved. I like Jey Uso. I just did not like the fact that post WrestleMania, his match quality kind of just went into the crapper. And, we're talking tag team Jay, then 2020 main event Jay, which was a phenomenal character. Then we're talking bloodline story Jay. Then he separated and went solo, won the IC title. Those matches were great. And then for whatever reason, man, like on his rise to WrestleMania, admittedly, they spoke about it on Unreal a little bit where, they didn't want him to get complacent or anything. And he kind of admitted that he did. Post WrestleMania, he was World Heavyweight Champion, and then he lost it a little bit later. And during that time, his matches weren't that good. And I say that to say that Braun Breaker will not be that same, like the same thing's not going to happen to Braun. If they continue to push him, it might be something where it could be like Roman Reigns, perhaps, where they were booing him out of the building. But with that level back then, Roman Reigns was actually a pretty good performer. He was a great performer. And the only reason why the company were turning on him was because they were building him as a face and they were trying to shove him down everyone's throats as a face. Had they turned him heel, the crowd wouldn't have hated it as much, which is why now the Tribal Chief character, when he did inevitably turn heel, worked out so great because people waited years for it, and it got to a point where the camel's back finally broke, as they say, and the Tribal Chief character was heavily accepted because it was all that pent-up aggression that Roman Reigns had from trying to adhere to everyone else's acknowledgement, where now he makes everyone acknowledge him, right? And that's what the Tribal Chief character essentially turned into. It was like the head of the table. Like, he's not adhering to anyone anymore. He does things on his own time when he feels like it. And that's what they're going to do with Braun Breaker, man. He's already a heel. You know what I'm saying? So long as they leave him a heel, I think it's going to be great. Should they turn him babyface down the line? If it works. But with Braun Breaker, man, I really think he's not going to be another Jey Uso. I heavily disagree on that. Let me know what you guys think. I know there was a lot of yapping in that explanation. I'm still new to this recording thing, and I don't edit my videos like that. I cut out certain pieces sometimes, but I just yap it up. That's it. Like, I don't have a script. I don't have bullet points. I don't write my promos on my hand. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to get up.